It is August 18th, 2026, and I hope everybody's been having a wonderful day so far today. I hope everybody had a great weekend this past weekend, and I hope everybody was able to stay sober as well. It's about 10:30 in the morning, somewhere around there here in South Carolina, and it is already starting to warm up fast. When I got up this morning, I had a doctor's appointment at 8 a.m., and when I got up to leave, it was overcast outside. We had a nice cool breeze blowing. It was like 70 degrees. I thought for sure we were going to get a break from the heat today, but that is not going to happen. Like I said, it is getting hot very, very quick here, and I still have a lot of work to get done today. By the way, sorry about not having a video up yesterday, guys. I had a bunch of work I was trying to get done around here yesterday, and by the time that I got finished cleaning up yesterday evening, it was already getting dark. There was just no way I was going to be able to film. I was a complete mess. I was filthy dirty, and by the time I would have taken a shower, put on clean clothes, came out here and tried to film, it would have already been dark. There was just no way I was going to be able to get a video done yesterday, so sorry about that, guys. I'm sure there were a good bit of you that were looking for one yesterday. I did not have time. I completely lost track of the time, and by the time I got all my stuff cleaned up yesterday evening, I was like, man, it was almost 9 o'clock. There was just no way I was going to get it filmed, so I'm sorry about that, but like I said, I'm trying to get today's video done early for you guys, and hopefully I can get this up before 2 o'clock, somewhere around there, because I usually don't post my videos till about 9 o'clock. But anyway, I got a good topic for you guys today. I actually got an email from one of the subscribers who brought this up to my attention, and after I read that this morning, I was like, you know what, that's what I think I'm going to talk about. So for Justin, thank you so much for the idea. I really do appreciate it. And guys, if y'all ever have any ideas for videos, or something that you want to talk to me about, you want to let me know that you got the 6 months of sobriety, and you just want to talk about it. My email address is in the description. Just click on it; it'll take you straight to it, and send me an email. Now, I might not get right back to you. I get a lot of emails on there, but I will reply to you at some point. It might take me a couple days before I can get to your email, but I will get back with you. So, like I said, if you got any video ideas or something you'd like to see me talk about, just send me an email, or you could put it in a comment. I read all the comments as well. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive into today's video. And like I said, I got an email from one of the subscribers. His name was Justin. Once again, thank you so much, Justin. But what he sent me an email about was, he said that here recently he found out that there's a famous actor, and I'm not going to say their name. I don't want to get sued or anything, but there's a famous actor, very, very famous actor, who famously had a problem with addiction and got sober. And they have been sober now for quite a few years. I think like 7 years or something like that they've had of sobriety. And I know, like, part of that, they were in they were married to another very famous person, and then they got divorced. And part of the divorce was the addiction problems and all that stuff. And like I said, this actor got cleaned up, got sober, was doing really good for himself. But that email that I got this morning said that this actor has now gone back to drinking again, and they're controlling their drinking. Like, they're doing a better job at drinking now. When they drink, they only have a couple of drinks, and they only drink like once or twice a week or something like that. But they have control of it, is what they're saying. And like I said, that's what I wanted to talk about in today's video, because at the end of the day, guys, this is my opinion, and you might have your own opinions, which is completely fine. I can't say that this is exactly what it has to be, but in my mind, I think this is all or nothing, guys. I really truly do. If you've had problems with addiction in the past, there's never any controlling it. And once again, this is my opinion. So take it for what it's worth. Take what I say with a grain of salt. But I really do believe that this is all or nothing. I don't think that we should ever, if we've had a problem with something, let's say it's alcohol, for instance. If you've had a problem, if you've had AUD, if you have AUD, if you've been a problem drinker, you've got 10 years of sobriety, 20 years of sobriety, 30 years of sobriety, 5 years of sobriety, whatever it is, I think it's a horrible idea to even consider going back to drinking in any fashion. Whatever it is that you've told yourself, well, I'm only going to drink on Fridays and I'm only going to drink 3 beers or a glass of wine or whatever it is. I, like I said, in my opinion, I don't think it's ever going to work out. I just don't. And once again, this is my opinion. But I feel like once we have realized that we have a problem, we've gotten sober, that we need to stay that way. Because once we go back to any fashion of drinking or using or anything, it opens up the floodgates. And it might not happen right away, but at some point, it's going to get back out of control again. I've told this story on here so many times, probably 4 or 5 times, but I'm going to talk about it again because I think it's a very important story to tell. I got a comment from a subscriber, I think it was last summer or maybe the summer before, and the lady told me that her and her husband, they were up there in age, I think in their 70s or something like that, but in the 90s, like 1995 or something like that, her and her husband decided to get sober. I think both of them might have been problem drinkers, or maybe it was just the husband, and she decided to get sober with him because she didn't want to drink in front of him. Anyway, it really doesn't matter. The point is that the gentleman got sober in the mid-90s and was sober for 30 years. He had 30 years of sobriety. I don't remember, maybe it was his 70th birthday or something like that. He told his wife that he wanted to have a couple Budweisers for his birthday. And his wife said, I think that is a horrible idea. And he told her, I've got 30 years of sobriety. Not to mention, the gentleman, and I think his wife included, were out helping the community. I think they had started up like a group for people that had problems with addiction. But they were out there helping people in their community. He didn't just get sober and not do anything else. I mean, he got sober and was helping with AA. I think he was a sponsor, was, doing things in the community to help with addiction. They had really invested a lot of time into their community trying to help people who had problems with addiction as well. Plus 30 years of sobriety. And like I said, on his birthday, he decided, I think I can handle it now. After 30 years of sobriety, I think I can have a couple of Budweisers. And once again, his wife said, I think that's a horrible idea, but he went ahead and drank them anyway. Well, by the time that she had sent me the comment, I think he had been back drinking again for about a year and a half, somewhere around there. And she said that after his birthday, after he drank, he never stopped. In the beginning of his drinking, after his birthday, I think that he kind of, controlled it for a couple of months. He was only having a couple of beers a couple of times a week. And it hadn't gotten out of control yet. But at some point, it completely went back out of control again. The wheels fell off the car, and it was over. And when she sent me that comment, she said that her husband was, bedbound, couldn't get up, was very, very ill. He had jaundice. His eyes had turned yellow. His skin had turned yellow. He had ascites. And for those of you that don't know what ascites is, it's when you start to collect fluid in your belly. Is it when your liver's been scarred to a point that the blood can't flow through there properly? It starts to seep into your abdomen, and it'll start to fill up. And like I said, he had ascites. His belly was getting full of fluid. He couldn't get out of the bed anymore. She said that he was throwing up all day long. From the time that he woke up in the morning, he started throwing up until the time that he went to sleep at night. He threw up all day long, super duper sick, liver disease. I think he had cirrhosis going on. And he had only gone back to drinking for like a year and a half. And it did not take that long for the wheels to just fall off the car. And he went from 30 years of sobriety to telling his wife, I'm only going to have a couple of Budweisers on my birthday. And within a year and a half, everything fell apart. Everything. And because of the decision to have a couple of beers on his birthday, he could not stop. It's one of those things that once we get sober, after a good amount of time, we start to forget what that feeling feels like. You remember kind of, but if you've got 10 years of sobriety or 5 years of sobriety or something like that, like I said, you just don't remember fully what it's like to feel intoxication. You don't remember what that warm blanket feeling is like. You don't know what that feeling, you don't remember that feeling of pure bliss and pure euphoria that you get from drinking or using or whatever it is. Like I said, you start forgetting about it, but once you go back and have that first drink or 6 drinks, whatever it is, all of a sudden now you remember it again. And the problem is that people like us that have AUD or an addiction to a substance or whatever, once we get that feeling again, guess what? We want to feel that way all the time. We do not want to go back to feeling strange again. We don't want to go back to feeling pain. We don't want to go back to that feeling of being restless. We don't want to go back to that feeling of not having a substance or a drink anytime that we have a problem or we're happy or when we're going on vacation. We want to have that drink with us everywhere we go. And before you know it, we're right back to where we were before we got sober, and probably even worse. Like I said, guys, this is all or nothing, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I get the idea of having a drink all the time, every single day. And some days it's worse than others. If I'm having a really bad day, it could cross my mind multiple times during that day. But I know that if I went back and had one beer, it could be a Bud Light, it could be a Miller Lite, Michelob Ultra, anything. I haven't drank in, over 4 years at this point now. One beer, because my tolerance has gone way down now. One beer, I would probably get a serious buzz. 2, 3 beers, I would get that feeling of euphoria again, and it would be over. I know myself, and I know how I am. I am going to want to feel that way 24/7. And when I say that, I mean that. I really do mean that, guys, 24/7. Like, I'm the type of person that wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning and goes, I'm sober, or I've sobered up too much. I need to go have another drink, because I wanted to have that feeling all the time. So I'd wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, go downstairs, mix a drink or two, watch TV until I started feeling tired, and then go back to sleep, because I couldn't even make it through the whole entire night without going back and having another drink, because the withdrawals would wake me up. Guys, you want to go back to that life of, if you drank like I did, waking up in the middle of the night and having to have a drink because you're in the middle of withdrawal. It's been a few hours since you've had your last drink again, and you've got to wake up and mix a drink just to go back to sleep. Do you want your whole entire life controlled by substance or by alcohol? Do you want to go back to worrying about, how am I going to get the money? What am I going to do today? How am I going to get my stuff? Am I going to be able to leave work in time to get my alcohol? I need to leave work during lunch to go have a drink. I can't wait to get off. You know that feeling when you just cannot wait to get off of work, because all you want to do is have that drink. That first drink after work is one of the best drinks of the day. You've worked a 12-hour shift, you get home, or you don't even make it to the house. Your first thing, you're in your vehicle mixing a drink before you leave to go home. That was me too. Like I said, guys, the wheels can fall off the car really, really fast. And in my opinion, it's either all or nothing. If we have gotten sober, if we've realized that we have a problem, we have to stay sober for the rest of our lives. And I feel like if we want to, have a life, sobriety is the only option. Our whole entire lives fall apart when we're in active addiction like that. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You've probably been there as well if you're watching this right now. Or you're watching this because somebody in your life has been through this too. Like I said, I got an email from one of the subscribers, discussing the fact that this famous individual had gone back to drinking again and was talking about it publicly. And they thought it was important for me to come on here and talk about this because, just for the reason that I just discussed, that, this is all or nothing, and that it could be a very slippery slope. You go back, you look at this famous person and think, well, if they can do it, well, so can I. And you think to yourself, I've got 10 years of sobriety, and if that famous person can go back to having, a 6-pack of beer on a Friday night, well, then I can do it as well. They're no different than me. They're a human being too. I just think it's very irresponsible for a famous person like this to come out here and start talking about this and letting people know, oh yeah, I had AUD, but now I'm going back to drinking, but responsibly now, because like I said, people idolize them and they think, well, if they can do it, well, so can I. It can become a very slippery slope very, very fast, and before you know it, that one beer on a Friday night has turned into a case of beer plus a pint of vodka every single day. And before you know it, you find yourself sitting in your vehicle right before you walk into work, crying your eyes out at 8 o'clock in the morning because you feel absolutely horrible and you just want to be able to go home and lay in your bed for the rest of the day. But you know that you can't do it because you've already called off 5 times in the past 6 months because you've been back drinking full time every single day again, and you're sick and tired of you went back to living that life again. You're sick and tired of feeling like garbage every single day. You see your life is completely falling apart again. And like I said, there you are sitting in your car at 8 o'clock in the morning, bawling your eyes out before you walk into work. And you've got a water bottle with vodka in it in your backpack or in your purse, and you've got mini bottles stuffed in your socks, and you're leaving work to go to the bank, and you're having a drink, and, we go back to that lifestyle again. And like I said, everything begins to fall apart. All over one drink. And believing that we can go back to drinking normally again. It just doesn't work out, guys. And like I said, I just thought it was important to come on here and talk about this, the fact that it's so important to remember that it's just all or nothing. And once again, that's my opinion. Once we've gotten sober, we just got to stay that way. Living the life of sobriety is so much better than living that life, guys. It really, truly is. I know I don't want to go back to that lifestyle, and I hope that you don't either. Don't fool yourself into thinking that just because some other person has gone back to drinking and they're drinking responsibly now that you're going to be able to do the same. It just doesn't work out, guys. Let's stay sober one more day. Just one more day. If you've got something coming up next month and it's a big work conference meeting that you have to go to and everybody's going to be drinking at it, and you're thinking to yourself, well, come September the 30th, I've got to go to this thing, and everybody's going to be drinking, and there's no way I'm going to be able to stay sober. I'm going to have to drink at that, so might as well drink today, right? Don't do it. Cross that bridge when you get there. You never know what the situation's going to be. When you get to that point, you never know where you're going to be mentally. You might be 5 times more comfortable in your sobriety, come that date than you are right now. You just never know. You never know. You might get to that date and they might cancel the meeting, and you went back to drinking a month before because you thought, the heck with it, I'm going to have to drink anyway. Cross that bridge when you get there. You never know how things are going to work out. Just cross that bridge when you get there. Just worry about today. Don't look too far into the future. And stop worrying about what happened yesterday, last week, last month, last year. Stop beating yourself up for things that happened in the past. Give yourself some grace. Like I said just the other day. Pat yourself on the back for what you have already accomplished. And just keep pushing forward. One day at a time. And remember that if you've had a problem, there is no going back. We have to stay sober. We cannot control our drinking or our using. If we could, we would not be in the situation that we're in right now. There is no going back to drinking responsibly or using responsibly or anything. If you've had a problem, it's either all or nothing. And today, I'm going to stay sober. I hope that you do as well. Thank you so much for being here today. I really do appreciate it, guys. And until tomorrow, I will see you all then. I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Try your best to stay cool out there today, guys. It's going to be a hot one. See you guys in tomorrow's video.